But are we going all the way to game number 5? It seems like we could be after a 1-1 in our first 2 games between Gale Force eSports and Team Naventic. Naventic firing back in game number 1. Gale Force eSports able to get a victory that was hard fought in game number 2. And now we're going to Shrines. I want to know who you think picked it.
Well, based off of the fact that in the last game, Gale Force ends up getting the W, I would go with, well, then Naventic's going to move into the priority onto first pick. I wouldn't, but in my head I go, well, Infernal Shrines, you know, this is going to benefit Naventic. If I'm Gale Force eSports, I don't want that map. Like, I just go, we haven't been looking too good in the late game, guys. Let's not pick maps where it's inevitable we make it there. I'd have been like Sky Temple, something like just get me on maps like that.
Phase 1, though, Naventic was very focused on getting their own Battleground pick.
Yeah,
but then again,
you're right.
It also seemed like they just flat out did not feel comfortable on a lot of Battlegrounds. And to me, that shows already a different mindset. Like, maybe this is an Naventic that feels like they can contend with any team here in North America. Just the fact alone that they are willing to play meta again and to say, we're going to go for first pick after losing that last game, instead of constantly having to make sure that they were on Battlefield, Shrines, Tomb.
Yeah, that's a really good point you bring up, and I agree. It's one of those things where when you look at the samples of these teams and the trends that they have for so long, that when they have a major kink and adjustment, it means more than just like, hey, we kind of like this map. It usually indicates an entire just mentality change for the squad.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yes, I completely agree with you. The only thing I desire here for Naventic is they don't even have to come out and go back to old school form. You know, it's just look a bit more composed, a lot more on the same page, and you know, just see slight steps of improvement every single week. That's all I hope for, really, from every North American team. Gale Force, though, is hovering over the TAS. Is he worth the ban? According to history, when Tassadar is at the top of a meta, and he is first pick, first ban worthy, the most important map to ban him on is Infernal Shrines, because of not only his complement of the objective itself, but the synergy with things like Kerrigan. You have Shrine Control, and Kerrigan becomes unkillable. And so I'm not surprised to see that be the focus onto the ban for Gale Force. I think TAS is actually going to become way more common as we move on. All it took was one level 4 change, boys, and he's back, just back at it.
I just got a big grin on my face thinking about unkillable Kerrigan for Naventic. They have the Uther, Zuna, Kerrigan. Let's do it.
I'm down.
I want it. Maybe. We'll see.
Here for Gale Force eSports, though, like a Greymane and Nubarak, I expect Gale Force to prioritize the Greymane higher on Infernal Shrines. Something, honestly, that comes down to fan at the MSB. Greymane in this rotation, very few teams took it that high even. But it is, again, one of his better maps, so I would like to see him higher prioritized. I think a noob is inevitable.
Man, there's so many
good... It's just like, is it Mal?
There's so many good picks left up. Yeah, Malfurion, Dahaka.
Yeah. I think a noob Malf is the safe. You know, I'm just, what is the risky variable that could come out? I think it would be Greymane. They go into the Holy Trinity route. Even with the Tassadar ban?
And Uther taken.
Zarya's not good enough to make a big enough of an argument to be like, oh, it's obvious, because that would be the next ban. So they have a third that's different than normal.
Or they're just doing it too.
Is that worth your 1-2, though? I don't disagree. It is possible.
If you're amazing with it?
If you're absolutely mind-bogglingly good with it, maybe. It's
if
just
you're seeing sea levels.
Yeah, it's looking at it. The only reason is like, yes, that is a viable strategy. It comes down to, are those heroes, like Uther was picked up here, and then you see the 1-2 on this other side. So Vala and Ariel together need to be as impactful in this game as Uther. Essentially, is, you know, when you look at your draft resource and committing that into the game itself, and it's just, is it going to on its own?
There were times when eStar would run this with Zarya later on. So unless, whether it's able to force a Zarya ban from Naventic, potentially Illidan and a Nubarak taken now from Naventic, or for Naventic.
An Illidan ban, or excuse me, a Zarya ban only makes more sense now. with going into more melees on the side of Naventic. One of the few things, though, Zarya and you view the auto attacks of evasion, dodging those from Illidan. You're like, you never want auto attacks to get a kill. Feel the heat into multi-melees, and just with how hard she hits with those auto attacks, it's almost 100% he gets hit at some point, and that burst is enough to be a scary target. So I want the Zarya ban, but I don't know if Naventic is going to agree, you know, if it's a strong enough of a resource.
Well, what else would be terrifying for Naventic now? Just something to deal with Illidan.
Arthas, too.
Arthas, yeah.
It provides shrine control,
Good on the shrine.
and it's good with the Holy Trinity, and it's good into Illidan. Now I'm like, man, Arthas might be a better ban than the Zarya.
Chromie signifying that Gale Force eSports likely not getting a second support off of this. Full support at least, or one that would be able to provide a cleanse.
And they want to commit to heavy macro because they don't want to deal with the anti-siege of the early segments of the game, which only leads to what frontliner? I view that as a Stitches, but we've not really seen that show in NA. The Arthas ban makes a lot of sense for Naventic. I think it'll be the Arthas over the Zarya. I don't know, but Chromie, the Chromie Zarya is really good with that siege that I was just complaining about. If I had full control of this draft, and this was me and this team, I would give up the Zarya. I would ban out the Arthas because I don't think the pressure early game is going to be a big enough problem that I can't just rely on my late game team fighting. So focus more on the fight. What's the bigger problem in the fight department? And that's the one I ban. Arthas, not the Zarya. They go with neither. Holy.
But you made a great argument for it.
Why the Dahaka? I win that 1v1 with my Illidan. That's why that seems so confusing.
Just looking at
I'm missing something.
Past drafts. They have had a lot of focus on Dahaka in the last 2 games. Just goes back to
Naventic goes, we like these heroes.
Yes,
yeah, you are right.
Naventic is. Like, the way I said that seems like every team would be like that, but Naventic is so much like that.
No, you're right. You are correct.
What they have determined is law.
It's essentially, you walk in and they go, Genji plus Dahaka is busted. And then you just go, every game, no matter what, those are going to be the priority. You are right. They have definitely that stubborn, is how I would put it, mentality, and it's shown in the past. And maybe that is it, but I just feel like...
There it is. And there it is. Arthas Stitches.
And that's last pick Zarya still.
All right. Naventic. What do they got to do?
They're going to Tychus, and then it's not going to have the damage to kill the front line. Lunara would be the best, I think, here for them. Like a Lunara Tyrael is the only way I see this recovering. Lunara for the slow on the Illidan, the Jaina effect Tyrael to hyper immobilize. I have to win all in team fights. 100%. Or I transition to all in single target bursting, trying to abuse the fact that Ariel has no cleanse. How can I do that? The Hunt and Hinterland's Blast. Hey, like, I mean, it's a pretty far stretch no matter what.
What about Greymane?
I mean, Greymane's good for the insta-gib, but it's not going to be able to dive the backline, and you have to be very specific on who you hit, so it should be weak. There's the Abathur. So do they drop it? Do they still go with the Zarya? They aren't insta-locking it. So maybe not. If you didn't Zarya, what do you pick?
Is this a Stitches Kael'thas?
You go with damage. Yeah, you go Kael'thas, you're right. You need
a whole lot of melee.
CC, and you need damage in somebody who can trade up into Illidan. Tychus actually isn't terrible here either. Tychus with an Odin wouldn't be bad later even. I'm missing someone here, Gillies. I hate when I do this. My brain goes, there is a hero that is definitely fits all the list of things that you want, but not that one.
The Stitches Medivh. Arthas Ariovala, but the Stitches Medivh.
Huh.
Is this Gorge Portal shenanigans?
Could be, and if it is, I'm really scared. mainly because Gale Force eSports, this is a new version, so this is going to 100% carry over. They either bodied their opponents or they went to game 5. Almost everything we saw from them very early on. It was even against teams like Tempo. They would go in, we have a plan, it's calculated, we go in, we wreck. Every other team, it was like, we have a plan, holy cow, this isn't working as we expected, but then eventually we're a better team, we'll go to game 5 most of the time. They got themselves the win. But whenever a team had any kind of an answer versus them, definitely panicked on a way to adjust. That took, I mean, even the last game went into their favor, and still to see that kind of adjustment, I just think it's too soon and too early in HGC to be like, you know what, we got to bust out the cheese. This is the Medivh time. Like, and there is counterplay to it. It's a good strategy. It's just not one I would consider a great.
If you look at the mid-season brawl and the meta that developed, Team Naventic has 5 unstoppable heroes in their draft. Does that get them the win in Game 3, though, over Gale Force eSports? We're heading into Infernal Shrines to find out. We'll see you there. How does Medivh factor in to the Vala Ariel X, Tassadar, Uther, Zarya?
He is better than every single one of them as long as his shielding is flawless, and he's worse than every single one of them when his shielding isn't.
So you're saying you need a team that is brand new as a roster to have perfect synergy.
With a hero that already requires a lot of synergy, but then to be the missing link to a very common strategy needs to be even more on point here.
I believe.
You, young lady, have a lot more faith than myself.
I believe.
That's what we're sticking with.
I'm sticking with it. Gale Force eSports, it's relying on someone who is not new to competitive Heroes of the Storm. You're relying on K1 Pro. The synergy has to be there from the rest of the team too. But they've all been there a long time, I believe.
Here's how I see this playing out.
Okay.
Gale Force gets the lead. 13 minutes hits. Abathur becomes a problem. He stalls out the game. Gale Force goes for a keep at roughly 16 minutes into it. They might get it, they might not, but either way, the Abathur effect is hitting, and they aren't really winning that hard. They don't have good enough siege, and then suddenly, Illidan problems from that point on. The entire game, all over Naventic. This is only meeting my conspiracy theory. They've got to... He's too late.
I mean...
No way, if they turn that.
The dream! The iDream!
The iDream is real, man.
He waited so long to use Sweeping Strike until he could get back to that gate. That was patient. I was terrified.
I was just sitting there thinking about how if I'm K1 Pro who sets that portal down and knows it's too late, I immediately go, I just got bodied by my own ex-teammate.
That's also iDream playing Illidan, so their roles are not set. Zuna playing Greymane.
You're right. Another question mark here for the members of Naventic. We're still not going to know exactly who's on what or if he's on first. I love it. Got the strong exhale. You know you're a comedic genius when. Got that one.
When it's equal parts humor and disappointment.
Yeah.
First Shrine is activating. We've got increasing clarity. Righteous Assault, I mix those two up every single time. As I was saying it, I was like, I know this is wrong. Righteous Assault once again, so whether it is the blind, which I think is very likely versus both Illidan and Greymane at 13, or even being able to move people with the 13, there's going to be a cooldown reduction on Sacred Sweep for Akaface.
Really surprised to see this all in, but it's going to pay off there. Portal is not there in time. Man, Mike Udall is just completely trapped. A lot of value coming up from K1 Pro, but he does not have Seven's Master's Touch. So he didn't even get value out of just getting free stacks over the members grouped.
That happened so fast.
I said like 13 minutes was the breaking point, but what if that never even happens? Does this game end extremely fast then in favor of Naventic? Is that how that works? Or does it's the opposite, that somehow Gale Force will find that second win here in the composition? Because I only ask you that mainly because I go, all right, we're into Illidan, Abathur, Uther. You have 3 of the deadliest Illidan hypercarry approaches in the game. What are your tools? Arthas, really good. But everything else, you want CC and you want burst. Stitches, none of those things. Medivh, Yeah, you could argue CC, but it's in a different sense. It's preparation. It's not the crowd control. Vala, only Reign of Vengeance. Detainment Strike, unrealistic. It's just, where do you actually kill the Illidan?
Yeah, they, being Gale Force eSports, do not want to get far behind in the structures versus Naventic, especially versus Abathur. And Illidan being able to open up the battleground, giving him more room to chase. But unfortunately for them, the split push of Naventic has gotten Naventic a level lead, thanks to a 3-man kill and getting a quick Punisher to start this game. You have been trying to figure these teams out this whole time. And I am proposing to you something else.
She's got it. Oh, so we're going total different route.
Just let it happen, man.
No.
Channel the dude here a little bit. Just like enjoy the journey of watching Naventic and Gale Force eSports, the new versions, the new and improved. You're looking at me like I am crazy.
Bust out the old popcorn. Just sit back, relax,
Michael
have some
Jackson
fun.
GIF version.
Like, just quit being Debbie Downer, Mr. Samuel Sirius over here, and just let yourself enjoy the ride. You know what?
Samuel Sirius was brilliant. Did you?
That was actually
really
literally on the spot.
Love it.
But you know what? You're right, Kelly. My approach to Heroes of the Storm, I feel like the community's put a lot of pressure on me. I've put a lot of pressure on me. I have to be the guy. I have to have all the answers, not only for me, but for them. And now you've shed the light. I've been doing it wrong all the time. I'm here for the fun, for the game.
We're gonna have fun.
We are.
This does not look fun for Akaface.
It does not. Oh man. I'm prepared. What else is really fun about this game?
Well, we've got Slam Build again happening for Stitches. We've got Needle Spine, so more damage. We're going to be doing a lot of damage on Abathur with that build. And the fact he's on top of Illidan. What's up? Are we going to have a fight?
Yeah, Illidan's moving.
Nice.
The Detainment Strike, the flank, nice portal. And Medivh just breaks the rules of Heroes as always. Get a flank, get an advantage. Nope, Chuck Testa.
Why is it this game that I told you we should just have fun when there's a fun police in the game?
It's, literally Medivh. This is it. Keep in mind, Naventic has so much pressure onto the map. With that Shaman camp up on top, the race of 10, Gale Force is... If they get this Punisher, they still don't push with it. Like, in no world is this good. It just goes, can we stop Naventic from absolutely smashing this early game? And it's going to be by denying this Punisher. It's working out for now.
Yeah, especially if iDream goes down, and he does. Zuna got into position for friend or foe, but it was not far enough away, especially with a portal. Medivh's minions are everywhere, that being his teammates. Punisher achieved, but 10 is there for Team Naventic.
And look at it, this Shaman camp, man. He's got his little Locust Bud behind him, joining the squad, 1 hat rotation. Drop out the spells. My goodness.
Look at Tomster. Okay, now he's tunneling away. He's been pretty aggro in his positioning, and I like it.
Yeah, up in their face. But again, that comes down to the commitment of resources towards the other parts of the map on Gale Force. Naventic is about to hit a very crucial moment, according to their composition.
Okay.
Which is, again, the Abathur moment, where it's like they're almost at the power spike of Abby, where he becomes a huge problem. But if they let Gale Force take a fight in the window between 10 and, again, that 13, 14, 15, up into the 16 mark, that it just doesn't gain them anything for no reason, essentially, to take that fight, it could allow Gale Force to come back and not worry about that. They catch this.
Going for a fight, and they've caught King Caffeine. There's a portal there, a lot used on both sides to try to get that.
Nice hook, but it pulled away from the ley line.
Cocoon's down now too. Detainment Strike hits iDream. Retreat, full retreat status for Gale Force eSports. Crystal Aegis, he's not getting out of this one.
He's not getting out of it.
Oh, except there's a Medivh shield.
Oh, the Medivh, the Divine Shield though for the Gray main. So now that is a member down, Gale Force not having the Akaface. iDream gets pulled back in. No way to get out of there. No friend, nor no foe. And now this is going to be the sad, slow, tragic end of Big Impact. How does nobody chase that? Hello? I thought for sure Hook was like a second off cooldown and you just snap over the wall. They don't move forward. They only get 1 kill. Not what you would expect against looking at Stitch's Arthas. If you get one, you're getting another. It's like a reset comp without the reset because of just the chase potential and the CC that they enable. But that was nice for Naventic, not being able to, again, that was those fights that they don't have to take, but that if they bait into it, could be the moment Gale Force comes back. They only lost one. That's not enough members. Now Naventic should stall, play slow, and focus on cloning.
Now they were baited into it. King Caffeine using the Putrid Bile to keep members there, and then Ariel looking like a tasty treat to take her out, but holding on long enough to Crystal Aegis for the team to get into position. No Metamorphosis, no Divine Shield. Curse Bullet's going to be used. iDream's going in. Metamorphosis or not, there is a Cocoon that's taking some time, but Leyline's here on the back line. Look for Gale Force eSports to try to turn this.
Thompson took too much damage there on the clone, so it's going to die a bit too early. But look at that. So much pressure here onto Naventic's front line. They're already down one. Meta is going to be used here. I don't think they can turn that around. Aegis coming out and just putting damage into Zuna, into Big Impact. And now the 5 members of Naventic, or excuse me, 4 in what was the clone, will go down. No way.
The heals lasted, yeah, the heals from Ghost Uther helped iDream last a long time, but the synergy of Force of Wills and the heals just enough from Ariel keep Gale Force eSports constantly on the brink of death, but still alive throughout that entire fight. Well done by them. They're going to hold on, not capping this Punisher.
I figured it out. It's opposite day. That's it. Everything I say, it's got to be the exact opposite. What was the window where you would expect the breaking point? Who was supposed to pull ahead of the other team?
Naventic.
So now, no, it was supposed to be Gale Force, but they did end up pulling ahead. So now, it's opposites. It's opposite day. So now,
I thought you said Naventic pulled ahead at 13.
Naventic was supposed to, but they were winning the whole early game.
Opposite day.
So they were supposed to, Gale Force was supposed to win the early game, the breaking point at 13. But now Gale Force was like, we're going to sack the early game, and then our breaking points into the 13. So then if that's true, Gale Force should just exponentially launch ahead in experience at this point, since Naventic was supposed to be the team to do it before, right?
Totally.
I'm just saying, if I can't figure it out in an actual logical way,
down with you.
You know, or that too, bringing you down.
Gale Force clear out a fort. Thompson doing what he can, soaking. He's got a nice push up in the top lane, and there is a mercenary camp in the bottom. Naventic clear out the Punisher fairly quickly, but do lose their first fort. I'm looking at talents. That is tempered by discipline over Gloom, so some self-sustain for Vala. But there's not a whole lot that Gloom, I guess, would help with. There's some. There is definitely some.
I actually love going tempered by discipline anytime I'm in the Holy Trinity. I think the value that provides to not be so cooldown dependent of your Ariel and force her to always need to hit you, because sometimes, I hate to say it, there's other people in the world, you know, when you're the Vala in that comp. Look at the initiation here. Arthas is just going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. Akaface with a lot of pressure, forcing the Aegis. Uther is already dead, and now that is going to be Akaface quick to follow. Leyline Seal is going to pause time, and Anubarak and iDream are just going to drop.
The Divine Shield was really early to enable, but going around the way that Team Naventic did put them right in line to take the full hit of damage off of Strafe from Fan. So once again, Gale Force eSports win the fight. They're getting further ahead. Now they have 16, so they can get pulverized for more slams. Likely, yes, they get that. Frost Shot, I've seen, I think it was earlier today, getting Manticore in this position still, but there's Frost Shot.
The argument with Manticore just comes down who's like the actual kill target, right? Yep. What is their approach to these fights? Into the Illidan, is he going to stay on top of you long enough that you think you can get those auto attacks in and through the evasion on top of it? Looking at this, you have the Greymane, you have the Illidan, the Anub, Frost Shots, getting that AoE slow. You're not going to have that consistent, weak frontliner to tag into. An example of a comp or a warrior you would pick that into, though, maybe like Stitches. One that he has no hard CC. You can be up in his face all day as long as hooks off cooldown and being like, look at Manticore value, baby. And
when you have Manticore, the pairing of Ariel was Will of Heaven to give attack speed, but now the more standard Wrath of Heaven to pair along with that multi-shot build, Strafe 2 from Vala.
A huge window to keep in mind for this next fight is every single time Naventic's had a reasonable team fight, it's just opening with Curse Bullet. K1 Pro's done a decent job at trying to stop that, but now he's got reabsorption, and he could lead to like the Uber heal on the side of Zuna and the members of Naventic if they commit to it too quickly with that reabsorption. It's just something that we're going to have to keep track of because K1 Pro's actually done a decent job trying to mitigate those bursts. And now he could do the opposite, just get a burst heal.
Blades of Azeroth at 16 for Illidan. iDream starting on some of the skeletal defenders. A little bit of an advantage for Team Naventic, but not too much at this point. Both teams just looking for the setup. King Caffeine hoping for a possible hook, maybe. Slam follow-up.
21 skeletal defenders. Gale Force, you see them trying to flank in, collapse around. There goes the hook. Zuna with a lot of damage. Mike Udall, he throws out the Cursed Bullet. The Divine Shield cast last second onto Zuna, but look at that ley line. It buys the time. He's going to be stuck.
There's Portal. K1 Pro went through it, uses an Arcane Rift, but B-Kid tries to stop. It's just not enough, though. Both Greymane and Uther have already gone down. This is not a 20 Uther with redemption, but he's going to do everything in his power to keep B-Kid alive for as long as he can. B-Kid burrow charges away. Frost shot. Goodbye.
Lone Mike Udall here on the Arthas, going to be picking up the rest of these shrines while the rest of the team pressures out throughout mid. This is going to be top 4 dead 100% for Gale Force eSports. Dude, that was not good deal for here. Oh my gosh.
I was just thinking, I wonder if Tomster is going to move.
I mean, they didn't see him up until the frost shot, and then everything was on that point. I just want to know if they knew he was there and waited for the Vala to reveal and just all in. That was
quick on the
so worth.
There was a monster minion wave that just got lost in the top 2 for Team Naventic, trying to sit in the mid and stay alive. And now they are behind 2 levels. A possibility of a fight, but it's a rough place. Once again, Gale Force stalling out until they can get 20 on the shrine. Medivh's in position that if he needs to, he can in an emergency get this.
Yeah, so what this is a little greedy by Gale Force. This actually isn't as confident about this as they are. They shouldn't be as confident about it. Yes, he could steal that, but if they'd done that earlier, yeah, the cocoon, if they could have rotated to make it to where it's a lose-lose in this fight, has to happen, and that's what they're going to do. So now pre-20, the fight's going to be forced. Caffeine, he takes a bit of damage. So much onto iDream, though. Forces a metamorphosis. The Divine Shield stacked on top of it here as the portal is used. Look at B-Kid, though. So much damage output from K1 Pro. 2 members. Was going to be 3. I mean, how do you stop this roster of Gale Force right now? Their comp, they're just team fighting is just way too strong.
Yeah, it is ridiculous what they've been able to make happen in fights. Tomster clones Uther just hanging out, but it's 18 kills to 5. The Punisher was grabbed. That was another issue in the fight for Team Naventic. Only Apather left for 20 more seconds until Anubarak's back. Gale Force eSports confidently marches to the core.
No way around it, no mule either. This is just pure damage onto the core. Told you, Gilly, it's opposite day. They hit 13 and just blew this game out of the water. Gale Force is going to take lead, but will Naventic crumble? I don't think so. I think they have the mentality.
I think they do too.
I think a lot of it's going to start with the draft. I mean, it feels like they've been drafting pretty well, but how they approach the team fight with some of their drafting, it's just, I mean, it's not working out. You saw that very early on. A lot of the signs of those drafts for Gale Force, I mean, the fact, like, especially the Arthas and especially the Stitches rotation, I mean, the fact that those are the first heroes that come to my head under the circumstances, Naventic very much gave that over to Gale Force, and I think the Arthas proved to be a big problem if you go with the high rotation Illidan.
Yeah, Naventic were so focused on the macro game, the soaking, being able to ban Dahaka and then get Apather later on. But the problem for them is while they started out with a really good early game, later on, especially once Master's Touch was done and K1 Pro and the rest of Gale Force eSports could feel aggressive, they were very aggressive. And we know that Fan and Agaves already have the synergy together of Vala and Ariel, so adding in the Medivh did not seem to be any sort of issue for Gale Force.
Yeah, and I want to actually credit K1 Pro on the Medivh.
Same.
His play was very, very good. The most important thing is just, I view it as, when I look at that comp, Medivh kind of breaks all the rules of math for me in Heroes of the Storm looking drafts. He's just, I think he's the best hero in the game, flat out. He just can win any game, every game, on his own. And so with that in mind, it's like, oh, how do you gauge that? It's all on execution. Normally into an Illidan composition with a double warrior and the Holy Trinity being the pseudo with the Medivh, it should lack damage. It should be hard to be able to get that pick into the Illidan. He should be able to survive a little bit longer, and almost never did it look like the Illidan was going to be, is this the moment where he survives one pick and they open up the fight? It was just, he's dead every time, and I blame a lot of that onto K1 Pro.
And we had, I think, the second Stitches for North America, but this was a really good Stitches game too, showing the reason why Stitches has gained a lot of presence in the international scene. And his ability, yes, he can get hooks, he can enable some kills, but the big deal is the slam build just does so much. It's got great wave clear, he's got slows, you can have it constantly. It's for the shrines too, and then the hooks, Putrid Bile too, working in conjunction with team fights for Gale Force eSports. They really had it together that game.
They did. And if they have it together into the next, they will be able to claim themselves the winner of the series. I cheated. I know our next map. I hate it when I do this. I accidentally look
That's fine, because the
sometimes.
graphics ready.